Evening Boro fans, welcome to Boro Fan TV in the third half with me, James Hutchinson. Tonight joining me is Chris McDermott. Welcome to the show, Chris.
James, all right.
Before we start the show tonight, everyone here at Boro Fan TV would like to pass on their condolences and thoughts to the family and friends of George and Mason. Tonight we're also going to look back on the 3 wins achieved in the last 8 days by the Boro, and particularly the victories over Birmingham and Barnsley. Are you booking your hotels for Wembley yet for a trip to the capital at the end of May? Rob is, he's been telling us for months that he is, so fair play to Rob. Or are you yet to be convinced that the Boro have what it takes to sustain a promotion push this season? We're also going to talk about Patrick Bamford, red off form at the moment, the emergence of Mo Besic and how important he is to our plans for the rest of the season, and this weekend's encounter with Brentford at Griffin Park. So, what I also want to talk about tonight, I'd like your contribution, viewers, is your first ever Boro game that you went to. So if you can remember what your first ever Boro match was that you went to, who we were playing, what season it was, maybe the score, anything like that, get in touch with us and we'll have a chat about a few of them. Chris, what about you? Can you remember what your first ever Boro game was?
Yeah, well, the one I can vividly remember was Southampton at home.
Right.
The reason I remember it was obviously you had Danny
Wallace
and Rodney Wallace on either wing.
Yeah.
And it was just the pace was absolutely frightening and destroyed us. That was the home game, first away game I remember. As it happens, I think it was the same year, Darlow.
Right, so I've been third division season, was it 86?
Darlow,
that was a bit of a lively day, that as well,
yeah,
for your first Boro away
it wasn't
match.
a bad one, yeah. I think coming out after the ground, my dad had me up with, like, you know, against the wall, trying to get me out of the way. But yeah, it was an eye-opener for a start, definitely.
So, Chris, 3 wins on the spin. We're in the top 6 now. Is everything looking rosy in the garden for you with the Boro?
Yes and no. I think, you know, I think we can be a lot better. I've still got questions about Pulis. Obviously, we are getting the wins, but I'm still I'm still waiting to see if he is this, you know, guy who is going to take us up. Right. I think the games that we have won recently, I think the games that we should be winning.
Yeah, fair play.
But next couple of games coming up, Brentford away, if they win, I think they go about 5 points behind us. So that could be then obviously Wolves, Sheffield United, Forest coming up. I think that's when he'll start to, you know, we'll start to see if he is the man.
Because I think we'll have a look later on in the show, but we've got 9 games left and there's a tough run of fixtures to go. We've had a nice little spell recently where we've had teams that you would expect to win. First of all was Birmingham. But I mean, again, that was a tricky game in its own sense. It was Gary Monk's first game, everything going on around that with it being ex-Boro manager. We got a 1-0 win there, and that's a ground we don't normally do well there. I mean, I know we've been there a few times before to see us, and not often come away with a win from there. So that was a good result that last Tuesday, wasn't it?
It's a good result, definitely. Yeah, it's 3 points is 3 points, you know. But again, like I say, I think it's a game that we should be winning, especially if we have, you know, we want to go up to the Premiership or at least get to the playoffs. I think them sort of games, as much as they might look a lot harder on paper, I think in hindsight you should be actually winning them games anyway, you know. So,
I mean, we were talking before we came on the air tonight, everyone in the room here was saying about we've had 3 wins in a week, and still there's a little bit of people thinking, well, I'm not quite sure about this team. Yet last season, granted it was in the Premier League, I think we won 5 league games all season. Do you think people that are still sort of thinking, oh, well, we should be smashing this league, to use that phrase again, or do you think people are being realistic and thinking, well, look at the squad we've got, we should be doing better than what we are? Or
yeah, I think we've got a decent squad, and I personally think we should be doing better than we are. Bamford's obviously bang on form, but I think that was more of a change that had to be made. It wasn't the manager who actually forced, you know, it was a forced hand change with Gusted going out injured, and I'd like to see if he would have actually made that change if Gusted hadn't been injured. It was sort of forced onto him. But yeah, again, same as on Saturday, gone 3-0 up. They get that goal. Totally different atmosphere on the pitch and off the pitch. And if they'd have got another goal, made it 3-2, then you could generally see it going 3-3. So there is a lot of positives, but there's also a few things there that need ironing out.
Because I think at this time of the season now, especially for me, it's not about what you do in the game or how you play, it's just about getting the 3 points. That's the most important thing now, do you think? Or do you think there's still like room for improvement within that team. Do you want the 3 points and a bit more than that, Chris?
Yeah, obviously 3 points is 3 points. That's what you want at the end of the day. But you also want to go to a game at 3 o'clock and to be able to enjoy it and come away enjoying it. And
have you not enjoyed it recently?
I think I haven't. It's not that I haven't been enjoying it. I just get frustrated that we can play for 60, 70 minutes and then go from being playing really well, or playing great, and then just basically just a turnover as it is. From that for some reason we just seem to switch off. I don't know whether it's the management saying it or the players thinking they're in the comfort zone. I don't know.
Because at the weekend, Tony Pulis has come out and he said the players have to start taking a bit of responsibility. He said once they cross that white line, I can give them instructions. And to be fair, that team that's on the pitch on a Saturday, a lot of them are experienced players. They've had Premier League seasons. Some of them have played at international level, so they're not. It's not like a team of kids. And when Riot was manager, these are experienced players. So do the players need to carry the can for that bit rather than people pointing the finger at the manager?
Yeah, obviously the players have always said that. You can only put so much blame on the guy on the sideline. Once they go up that white line, it is a lot in their hands.
Yeah.
So the likes of even Ben Gibson and that, he's one of our owners, I say, but he also needs to stand up because he's not playing great, but we're not allowed to say that because he's a Middlesbrough lad, you know what I mean? But there's a lot of players on there, who need to stand up and be counted, and unfortunately they aren't. And
that's it. I think in the case of Ben Gibson, it's a bit unfortunate in a way because he had such a good season last year in the Premier League, and you think, well, you can do it in the Premier League, why can't you do it in the Championship? But in a way, the game's very different in the Championship, isn't it?
I think the Premier League knocked the stuffing out a lot of the players.
Yeah.
We didn't enjoy it as fans going to watch it. No. So actually being on the pitch and actually playing it can't have been much fun.
Yeah.
And Ayala, the player at the start of the season, who, if I'm right, I didn't want to see him play again.
About November time, people said they didn't want to see him in a Boro shirt
and he's been superb. Yeah. Must be the third top goal scorer at the club at the moment this season. Yeah. But
good one. Got some people coming in now about the first games I went to. Jacob Ross, I love this. First ever Boro game I went to was when I was 6 weeks old. But I can't remember any details about it. I'm not surprised, Jacob. But the games I remember vividly are the Stour Bucharest game and also the demolition of Man City when we beat them 8-1.
8-1, yeah.
Two good games there, aren't there?
Yeah, I can't remember the 8-1, but I was there.
Well, you'd have a pint after every goal or something.
Just
was
a
it,
couple,
just
a couple.
That's no problem. It's all right, we all do that from time to time. Barnsley Saturday then, so 3 points, another 3 goals. That's 4 games now in 5 matches where we've scored 3 goals. When Tony Pulis come in, people saying, oh, boring football, long ball football, 1-0 games. So that's like 12 goals there in 4 matches. And what pleased me as well, like the Leeds game, was they got out the blocks quick. Yeah. They got after Barnsley straight away on Saturday. And the first hour, I thought we played some really good stuff. Yeah. And I think behind a lot of that was Bezic again.
Yeah, definitely.
What have you made of him since he's come to the club?
I like him a lot. Again, we were just talking about before we come on there. He's a player that we've been missing for a long time, especially with him there and Traore out wide. I think they work really well. And it's quite nice to see us getting forward quickly rather than, taking us 20, 30 passes to get where we want to be.
Forward pass,
one pass and we're through. And Traore's doing that as well. He's starting to find that pass now. He's getting confident where he'll make that forward. But basically, I'd try and sign him personally. But I don't think
the worry is now other clubs are going to take notice of it. And obviously he's an Everton player. They might think, well, do you know what? He can do a job for us. Whether he'll fit in under Allardyce there, I'm not sure. And hopefully he's going to go to the World Cup this summer with Bosnia. But yeah, he's a good player. He'd certainly be a great acquisition for us, whether he plays in the Championship or the Premier League next season, wouldn't he?
I think that's one thing. And all if he goes to the World Cup with them, he's in the shop window then. So we may become 3rd or 4th choice.
Peter McDermott has got in touch here. He said, what was Chrissy's first game? I took him but can't remember. You said Southampton, he can't remember and he took you.
Yeah, Southampton.
He needs pulling up over that, doesn't he?
Southampton. Most probably the Yellow Rose beforehand, that's why he can't remember.
Too many pints before the game, you wonder where he gets it from. Right. Saturday, Patrick Bamford found the net again. Now, you don't wish ill on anybody, but do you think Rudy Gested's injury was a blessing in disguise for our season?
Definitely, definitely. Again, I think Pulis felt lucky because I think if Gested was fit Bamford wouldn't have been starting.
Yeah.
I think that's an almost certain. I've had a few comments with one of my cousins last week, and he thinks I'm wrong. But I personally think there's not a chance in there if he'd be starting if Gestead was fit.
No. Yeah.
And it's horrible that he's out, don't get me wrong,
yeah.
but it's great for us because we're seeing what he did when he was in his first spell, you know.
And that's nothing against Gestead, because he does do a good job, and there was games like the Preston away game where he helped to turn that game around for us because he got us playing further up the pitch, he occupied their defence. But I think certainly in home games you're looking for a little bit more retarded to break teams down, and they're sitting back. And Bamford can just give you that little bit extra. He's a clever footballer, isn't he?
He's clever. He's not very fast, but he doesn't need to be. When Traore has got the legs as he has, and Besic's doing the work he is, you know, he's just running onto him. I don't think he knew much of the goal he scored on Saturday.
No.
You know, but it went in, and that's all that matters, you know.
Yeah. And like we were saying earlier on, it was strange, sort of towards the end of the game on Saturday against Barnsley. The atmosphere, there was one or two grumbles you could hear around the ground. Do you think the criticism is fair of the team at the minute? I mean, they've just won 3 games in a row, 4 out of 5 they've won. They're now in the top 6, 1 point off 5th. But can you see why people were criticising them at the end of the game on Saturday?
Yeah, because Ammo's probably one of them. So I've got to say,
I didn't want to say so much.
Yeah, because Ammo's probably one of them. It's not so much criticism. It just winds you up. It winds you up how you go from being this to this. In the space of 2 or 3 minutes, you know.
There does seem like a great contrast, because that first hour was excellent.
Yeah.
And yet that last half hour, for some reason, I'd understood if we were up against a really great team. No disrespect to Barnsley, but you saw what they had to offer in the first hour. Yeah. Yet the last half hour, we seemed really nervous. And
yeah, it's like we were just done about. We get well, you know, we come out the box well, you know, out the blocks as such well. But like we're saying, what if it's the other way around? Yeah. What if we're slow out the blocks, you know, and they get a goal or two, then the atmosphere totally changes. If it's like that when it's 3-1 to us, what's it going to be like when it's 2-0 to them? You know, with an hour to go. So
yeah, no, agree with you on that one. Stewie Young's got in touch here. Hello, Christopher. What's your opinions on Pulis always swapping Traore onto the left wing in the second half?
I wonder why he's asking that. I personally think it's a plan. I think Traore needs an arm around him. And I think if you watch the match, you can visibly see that Pulis does grab him a lot, and he puts the arm around him and gives him that, you know.
He's responding to him, hasn't he? Without doubt.
Definitely, and I think, I think he does that because if he's not playing well on the right, he will bring him back on the same side of him so he can get in his ear and give him that little bit of information. Granted, it doesn't work, but I think he'd rather have him there than over there.
Yeah, and we're getting way more out of him than we did 4 months ago.
Oh, that's one massive positive of Pulis. It's a massive positive what he's done to Traore.
Did you see that coming? Because I'll be honest, when Pulis got the job, I thought Traore would be one of the first players out the club.
Definitely, I thought he was definitely going out the club. But you know, but the thing is about Traore, we've seen it, but only in tiny glimpses, you know. And now we're seeing it every single week. And the downside of that is, if he plays like that, he's not going to be here at the end of, well, you know.
I'd be surprised if he's still here next season, to be honest, mate. Yeah.
And we know what he can do, and if he does go, then where's that other option come from? Yeah. Because he is making the majority of our, you know, us going forward at the moment.
And that's it, and he's creating space for other people to exploit as well, because you can see.
It takes 2 or 3 players.
On Saturday, whenever he picked the ball up, the Barnsley defenders were backtracking. They didn't know whether to go to him for fear of him getting past them, or to backtrack, but how far back do you go? And he gets a shot off there, and gets the second goal. So he's now creating a lot of problems for other teams, which wasn't happening before Pulis came here, isn't he? Yeah. So we've spoke about the criticism there, the team in some quarters, whether it's fair or unfair, but you can't get away from the fact Tony Pulis had 13 league games now in charge. He's taken 23 points. That's a good return, that, isn't it? Over 13 games. Did you honestly expect when he came in that we'd challenge this season, or do you think he was brought in with an eye to what we were going to do next season?
I think it's next season. I still think, even though we are where we are in the league, I still think it's next season. I still don't think, personal opinion, I still don't think we're good enough to be stable in the playoffs.
Right.
We'll find out in the next few weeks because of the games that are coming up. A lot of the teams are around us.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's sort of crunch time, as I say, coming up. So, you know, Brentford away is going to be hard. Yeah. Wolves, obviously. Yeah. Sheffield United.
Yeah, there's a lot of tough games coming up. Do you think, I know it's a hypothetical question, but do you think we'd have been in the position we're in now with Gary Monk in charge, or do you think things have got better with Tony Pulis, or do you think it's just, it wouldn't have been much different? What do you think, Chris?
I think it's definitely different. Again, you know, Traore alone answers that question, you know, what he's done to him. Don't get me wrong, I wanted Monk in. It's quite bizarre because everybody wanted Monk in, but the second he does rubbish, nobody wanted him in. It
was a strange one because I think there was a lot of people torn between Monk or Pearson getting the job, and nobody had any sort of like, if one got the job or the other got it, it was well, fair play. It was either going to be one of those two. Yet for whatever reason, it just never seemed to take off under Monk. There was always that suspicion that something's not quite right here, and you couldn't quite put your finger on it, could you?
No, I mean, especially the money he spent. What was it, 40, 50 million?
50 million. A lot of money came back in as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But 50 million was spent on players, and some of that now, when you look at it, some of the players he spent money on, you think,
well, Britt alone,
15 million,
you know, I think he'll be gone at the end of the season. I wanted Monk here, you know, and I generally did. When we got him, I was really happy. I didn't want Pearson here because we've seen it under Mowbray. We'd also seen it under ex-player. He left Leicester under a bit of a cloud, you know.
Yeah, I've got a good question here from me and Harris. How are you, lads? You're talking Adama out of the club. Do you think we're talking I think we're being realistic, I think, here, aren't we?
I don't think we're talking him out of the club. I think, you know, you only have to go and watch him week in, week out to know that he'll be gone at the end of the season. You know, obviously nobody wants to see him go. That, you know, that's quite obvious. But I think if you go and watch him from where he was before Pulis and where he is now,
he's got that one thing that teams at the top level really want: pace.
Unbelievable
amount of pace. I've not seen anybody faster than him with a football. And I just think to clubs like Man City, Chelsea, whatever, they could take a punt. They can afford to take a punt of 30, 40 million. It wouldn't be no object to them to pay that sort of money. That's a lot of money to us. And if his head gets turned, because he'll have an agent, his head will get turned by something like that. Oh, wait to turn down that money and him to turn down the opportunity to go and play for a club like that. Ideally, I would love for us to go up this season, and if he was to, other clubs come in the summer and maybe say negotiate a deal where we can keep him on loan for another season in the Premier League, and maybe then also get like a buyout clause or a sell-on clause with his next deal. I think that would be the best deal possible for the Boro. But I just think now he's coming to the notice of everybody. Clubs that were playing week in, week out know where the danger's coming from, don't they? They know it's him, don't they?
Definitely. I mean, he'll do it in any league. He generally can with that pace. He can do it in any league, you know. But I think he'll be gone. Again, we don't want to see him go, but I think you just got to use your noggin about it and realise when he hits form, he can play for anyone as such. You know,
he's probably he's better than a championship player. Isn't
he?
Definitely, he's above that level. What about you, Boro fans? What do you think about the Traore situation? Get your opinions in. Or if we fail to make the playoffs this season, who would you look to take the blame? Would you blame it on the players? Would you say that they've maybe not stepped up to the plate this season? Do you think there's been an improvement under Tony Pulis? I mean, 23 points from 13 games is an impressive stat. So get in, let us know what you think about the Boro this season. Birmingham and Barnsley taken care of, but it's fair to say our problems haven't been against the teams at the bottom this year, is it? Because we've done well throughout the season. When Gary Monk was in charge, we did well against the teams at the bottom. So do you think you'll learn a lot more about this team and what they're capable of after these next two matches?
Definitely. Like I said, Brentford, if they beat us on Saturday, they're only 5 points behind us. It was only a few weeks back, we were in Brentford's position, sat 10th, 11th in the table, you know. And it just shows what a few wins can do.
A month ago, we were 12 points behind Derby. We're 1 point behind them now. And some might say, well, that's because of the run of fixtures you have. But it doesn't matter who you play, you have to win those games. But this is a big test for us now because we have been a bit shaky against the top teams this season.
Well, you've got two coming up. You've got Brentford, Wolves. You know, you could go into them games and get 4 points out of 6, great. But you'd also go and get none out of 6. You know, it totally changes where you are in the league. You know,
really quickly. Got a question here for you, Chris. Who do you think's Boro's most underrated player? So that could be ever or this season in this season's squad.
In this season's squad, good. It's a good question actually. It is, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just trying to think. This season,
Shotton surprised me.
I think Shotton's come on well. I think he has come on well. Randolph,
Yeah.
Maybe he's a bit, but also he's a bit overrated. I think he was at fault for goal on Saturday.
Yeah.
But,
he's pulled off some great saves sometimes. I'm just a little bit concerned. I don't know whether it's down to Darren Randolph, but and again, this is a funny thing with the Tony Pulis team, the set pieces.
Yeah.
I don't feel secure when we're defending corners.
Yeah.
There's a number of times at corners. I mean, there was one on Saturday when it was 3-1. A lad got free at the back post, headed it against the post, and you're just like, this is happening quite often. And
yeah.
You're not sure whether this is something to do with the whole defence or is it the goalkeeper or. But yeah, But
I think it's a great question. But looking at it, most probably Ayala and all. When you think where he come from, you know, it was. I certainly.
Well, that's sending off. He got sent off at home to Derby, and
yeah,
I remember there was people saying should never wear a red shirt again. That should be it now. Bombed out the club. Yet within 6 weeks, he scored the 2 goals at Preston, and he looks like back to the player he was 2 years ago.
Before his injury and that, definitely.
Yeah. So we're aiming for the playoffs. I think top 2. We've spoken about this before.
Yeah.
You sort of like, well, could we go top 2? But I think that's way gone now.
Gone.
Those clubs at the top are on a different level now. They're winning week in, week out against good opposition as well. But if we want to get to the playoffs, I think this run of fixtures we've got against Brentford, Wolves, Derby, Bristol City, Sheffield United, I think that's good preparation, isn't it? Because you're going to come across teams at that level in the playoffs, so why not play them now when you can find out about how good you are?
Exactly. I mean, again, like you say, them teams around us, we could happen to meet one of them in the final, you know, or especially in the semi-final as such. Yeah. But yeah, these next few weeks, you know, they decide your season as such, you know, whether you finish in the top 6 or 8th or 9th.
Yeah. Peter Mack's back in touch with us. We're defo better under Pulis. Let's give him time. I've never seen our fans being as fickle as they have been this season. I think that's a fair point.
Fickle, but also honest.
Right.
You know, obviously last season, what we had to watch last season in the Premiership was horrible. Yeah. And I think that sort of carried on, you know. I think it doesn't help either when your chairman's going to tell you we're going to smash the league. Yeah. You know. And
I think you said we want to smash the league, didn't you? But yeah. As soon as that came out, everyone's like,
right, that's it, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're thick. I'm certainly not fickle, but I'll certainly say what needs to be said if I don't believe it needs to be said.
I mean, that's the funny thing as well about last season. It was awful, and I know a few lads. Rob's one of them. He's a big Karanka fan. I thought Karanka has to take a little bit of the rap for that last season because of how he set the team up. But then again, he didn't get the backing in the transfer market.
Again, there's certain people at the club who we can't say anything about because we're not allowed to. But I was on about with Craig, your brother, last year. And Steve Gibson needs to take a hell of a lot of criticism from last year for not putting his hand in his pocket. You know, we spend year upon year waiting to get up, and when we get up there, we went down with a whimper. You know, and it wasn't pretty. It was horrible.
It was awful. It was a terrible season, and your only hope is if we do get back up there in the near future, and I'm sure the club will have learned the lessons from the last season because it didn't work out, and it wasn't what we expected, and it was a big disappointment. Going back to Adama Traore, if he leaves, who do you think would fill his boots?
Well, this is what we've seen. That's the only downside of him going.
There's nobody really out there like him, is there?
No one, not at the price, and especially if we're in the Championship, you're not going to be able to attract a player of Traore's ability.
The thing is, you'd want to get a good price for him, and then hopefully you could reinvest that in the squad and maybe fill 2 or 3, maybe 4 players with that money. And maybe make the team stronger.
If he goes to City, Harrison comes here.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, that's it. There's already talk. There's a possibility of him being here next season anyway, isn't there? Just sticking with the old Traore thing. At the same time he came here, obviously Albert Adoma went the opposite direction. Now he scored again for Villa on Saturday. That's 17 goals he's got this season. Who do you think got the best side of that deal? Do you think we did, Villa? What do you reckon?
I think the timing was right for both. You know, I think it was time for him to go, and it was time for us to, move on. And looking in it now, I'd say Traore. Looking at it, granted, I know what Adoma's doing up there. Well, I don't know. I read the papers. I can see what he's doing. Yeah. But in the long run, Traore.
Yeah. I think we'll certainly get a bigger fee for him. I think with Adoma, he's a consistent player, certainly at the Championship level. the question hasn't been answered yet whether he can do it in the Premier League, but then again it hasn't for Traore, but you think maybe Traore has the tools to maybe survive in the Premier League.
We sort of seen the real side of him and all, didn't we, when he left? Again, another player leaving with a sour taste in his mouth, you know, with his agent and things like that, stuff apparently going on.
Right. I liked Adoma, I was a big Adoma fan.
Oh, I did, you know.
Yeah.
I remember Bristol away, when he was draping the Bristol City flag around his neck, you know, after we'd just been beaten that, and, you know, as a Boro fan, these things stick in your head.
You didn't like that.
You know. Yeah.
So Saturday, Chris, Brentford, now traditionally, it's a tough place to go. We've won on our last 5 visits though, but I can remember a few of those games where we've had a bit of a battering, to be honest, and we've escaped with a win. It's going to be tough again on Saturday, isn't it? Yeah,
but I would take a, without being negative, I would take a draw.
Yeah,
I would generally take a draw, you know. Yeah. I think playoffs was the last time.
We beat them 1-0 the year we went automatic, didn't we?
Yeah, sorry, when we went up,
we beat them in the playoffs the year before.
Yeah, but I would take a draw, definitely down there. And we've got a home game coming up after that, and then obviously Burton away. Let's be honest about it, you should be beating Burton away.
Yeah, you know, no disrespect, but yeah.
Big crowd under the light on a Friday night.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, Brentford, they came here at the start of the season. They took the lead twice against us. We ended up drawing 2 each. And they've got players like Ollie Watkins has scored a few goals from this year. They've got a game tomorrow night though. They're playing Cardiff at home, so hopefully that might take a little bit out of them. But potentially, if they win that game tomorrow, they're only 5 points behind us on Saturday. So it's going to be a big game. They're going to be well up for it as well, because it might well be their last chance to make a push for the playoffs, won't it?
Well, like you just said, they can go 5 points behind us, and then on Saturday, if they win, they're only 2 points behind us. Yeah. You know, and sometimes it is better to have the break, but sometimes it's better when the games are coming. Yeah. If it can pass, you know, for the players and the fans, you know. If they're going to win tomorrow, they can't wait for Saturday.
Just on a team selection sort of thing, obviously Grant Ledbetter's missed the last couple of games. He was suspended, but he's also been injured. Would you bring him back into the team on Saturday?
I'd leave Clates. Yeah. I'd leave Clates in the team.
I think he's done really well the last 2 games, hasn't he?
Especially again, what you know, he'd had a bit of a bad run of form, you know. Yeah. Ledbetter's a good player, don't get me wrong, I don't forget what he's done for the club, but he's not a 90-minute man now. No. You know, I think his legs are gone. But I would personally leave Clayton in and put Ledbetter on the bench. Right, yeah, because like you say, there's plenty of big battles ahead, isn't there? There's going to be games where both the same sort of player.
Yeah, and you're going to need those players, aren't you, over the next few months? You're going to need your full squad. Mark Stonehouse here, Boro and Mask double on Saturday. Mark, I can't agree with you, mate. Thanks for getting me a ticket for Mask, but I'm hoping it's Boro Stockton on Saturday. But yeah, well done, mate. What's your prediction for Saturday? Boro and Brentford, Chris?
Boro, I'm going 1-1. I'll take a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, to be honest, I think I would settle with that. I think the key to it is, though, is that how we respond if we win a goal behind. Yeah. We've been really good. I think, Rob, you give us a stat, was it 14 games we've won, scored their score? So, I mean, if we go a goal ahead, yeah, it looks happy days, we're going to get a result out of this. Unfortunately, the games where we've gone a goal behind recently, we've had Cardiff, Norwich. Yeah. We haven't come back. Come back from them. Yes, they did at Sunderland, but I think that's a different kettle of fish. But yeah, it is going to be a tough game, man, on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, there we go, Boro fans. That's what's coming up at the weekend. Brentford away. As we just touched on there, Mask United and Stockton meet at the weekend, their first leg of the FA Vars semi-final. All joking aside, best of luck to both clubs. You've done so well getting this far. Really proud you've done Teesside proud. Well done, lads. Thanks to all those people who have liked, shared and subscribed to BoroFanTV on Twitter, Facebook and YouTube. Don't forget, make sure you join them to be in with a chance to win the season ticket. For next season, there's 2 season tickets up for grabs to watch the Boro. Cheers for watching. Until next week from me and Chris, Red and White, you and me, Monday at 6, BoroFanTV.